if you are not honest in your application, definitely there is a risk of you being rejected even after you have been selected. To involve your guardians or your parents at the beginning. There are some people who are doing things by themselves. And finally, if there is no consistency in the application, it creates a problem. So all the information must be accurate and consistent, and you must be well prepared. I mean, it is maybe the opportunity of your life. So you have to take the time to read through all the documentation.
Plagiarism. That's the most common. We have applicants who want to copy and paste what their peers have sent in the past, and in some instances, those applicants have been admitted. Please, please, please do not plagiarize. We want to know you. We want to hear your unique story. We want to know who you are and what you're capable of. And we strongly, strongly encourage our applicants to tell us their story.
A common mistake is to try to tell us what you think we want to hear. And what we want to hear is what you have to say.
So on our application, you need to upload, for example, references or your transcripts. And a lot of times, prospective students have not uploaded all of that information. So if they don't get that in, we can't bring them to the next phase.
Not completing all documentation that is required, or sometimes even not scanning their documents properly, upon which we always go back to them, especially where we realize that this scholar has potential. We go back and find out what their challenges were, because sometimes they scan them and to them they look properly, they are eligible, but then by the time they reach us, they are not. And also for the missing documentation, we do request for that.
The one that we see most is not providing enough information, particularly under the section of the application that speaks to financial need. So we do get a lot of applicants that don't really demonstrate enough that they need the scholarship, and probably just make an assumption that, I'll fill in one or two segments of this section and leave the rest to us to figure out. So we encourage applicants to just put in as much as you can so that we can make an informed decision around whether to shortlist you or not.
People having very poor references written, so very generic things. So in the end, nobody can see what it is that you have done, or nobody can get a sense that the person writing the reference actually knows you. It could be something written for a complete stranger. So that reference needs to be quite particular to you. And also when you're writing your statements, the questions that you asked in your application, not taking it lightly, being very serious about the way you answer each and every question.
Unfortunately, I've seen some cases where it seems like candidates have had to answer the questions in a very short space of time and have almost just typed what has immediately come to mind. I understand why that happens, but give yourself enough time in the application process to go back and make sure there's a clear narrative to each of the questions as to why you want to study at the University of Edinburgh.
No question is light. Some questions may look a bit flippant, but they're serious, and somebody's going to look at them and they're going to determine whether you get a scholarship or not. It is also important to stick to the time deadlines. So if the deadline changes, so for example, we might decide for a scholarship, we want to push the deadline forward. Make sure you read the letter carefully and make sure that you apply before time.
One of the things we always go through the information session is take the time to be complete, to be precise. Be sure you're eligible in the first place. Make sure that you are coming to us from one of the partner institutions. Make sure you do upload your transcripts. Follow the instructions of where you are supposed to send things. And be really rigorous about that, because we've seen students apply to the wrong department, right? And there's no kind of stepping back from that. So you could put yourself out of the game for a year in that sense if you make those mistakes. So be careful.
If you want to come is to make an application, I think there are so many scholars that we've had that have ruled themselves out because they didn't feel, or have talked about that they might have ruled themselves out because they didn't feel that Oxford was a place for them. And yet, when they've applied, they've been accepted, they've got a scholarship.
There are people who are ready to mentor you and make sure that when you are going through the application process, you do it step by step and everything that you put in place is accurate.